Hi, welcome back to our series, the sixth chapter now. I want to go back with you to this idea of kin'ah, this way of being in the world in which we get filled with jealousy and explore it from another perspective and also offer you another practice for overcoming it. We saw last time that there's a shift in humanity at the very beginning when first the human being, Adam, was created male and female together with an awareness and a consciousness which was inclusive of all, called De'ah. And that in separating out into becoming two separate human beings, male and female, began the path towards individuation, which began first by calling the different animals names and then discovering that there was a need for there to be two polar opposites, male and female, that would discover a path to love by attraction one to another, a different vision of unity. That led to humanity's seeking out individuation beyond what was originally desired and intended, and moving towards a kind of a rebellion, which was the eating from the tree of distinction, delineation, usually translated the tree of knowledge of good and evil, moving away from de'ah into da'at. So we discovered that there is actually the root of jealousy, because that desire for that kind of knowing was a desire to become godlike. Because, well, just as God is completely free to create the world as he desires it to be, so shall I be. And this actually leads to the wonderful world of human innovation, but also to the horrible world of human psychosis and losing touch with reality, to the wonderful world of my personal interiority, which is so unique and so precious, and also to the horrible reality in which, because of my becoming mortal and because of my becoming finite, I become afraid that every other person who has a piece of the existence that I need to feel myself as possessing all of becomes a threat to me and a reminder of my mortality. And so I become contextual. I become filled with a desire to make sure that the others shouldn't have anything, or at least not as much as me, that they should always be somehow less than me, and at least in that I can affirm my power, my at least part of infinity, and ultimately really that it is my perspective which is the one which is the truest, proof being that it predominates over all others. Okay, so that was quite an intense presentation, which really would be a great exploration in another context. But I want us to recognize here that it's individuation, separation, which became the source both of the kinds of jealousies and fear of the other having more than us, and fear really ultimately most primarily of their having anything at all, for it takes away a piece of existence from us in that false consciousness, right? Makes it impossible for us to love them. And I want to come back to looking at that. I want to remind you also that that kind of a jealousy towards God, right, that I should become like him, which caused us to really step away from being who we are, is also the same source of our jealousy towards others, as we saw last time. And it actually became the first human being born. I mean, this is painful. The first human being actually named for jealousy. Cain, the Hebrew word kin'ah, being a derivative of that very same name. You see, there's a kind of a recognition on his part that somehow, if God is paying attention to Hevel and what he brings, that is a degradation of myself, and therefore Hevel must be done away with. That kind of a sense of personhood, which lacks enough inner sense of worth, value, and being, such that it requires that, well, God see me, God like me most, God take my sacrifice and not his. Those kinds of orientations rest in the loss of contact with De'ah in moving into Da'at. Humanity's choice of Da'at distinction, delineation, separateness, separation, individuation, became also a rebellion against the way things are. It became an insistence on, well, basically, I'll have it my way and be so fully liberated that I won't be innovative in your world, God. I'll just create my own world. And so many of us do that and lose contact with what's real, who that person is, what it is that their life is, what their desire is, what this reality is, who I am, and begin to just create kinds of alienated and disconnected hallucinations about who the person we're with is, who we are, and what it is that life is offering us by trying to remake it in our own image. So that kind of a separating from the wholeness of life, which speaks through us, becomes also the root for an attitude towards another as being a being taking away from us, because somehow if they have a separate and different perspective, so that challenges the truth of my own. That false conception, that false perception is the root of the possessiveness which lies at the source of kin'ah, of jealousy. So in my trying to take possession of this world, my trying to take possession by defining it, I'm moving beyond now just having my own perspective on it, but I'm remaking it in my image. Well, the biggest challenge to that is another human being who has their own perspective. And the biggest challenge to that is another human being who seems to have more than you do. And whatever that means, we all have our measurements. That's the root of kin'ah, and we're going to see now and get into how this plays out in practice. That is the root of the kind of kin'ah which stands in the way of love. And let me present to you the opposite, right? And then I think we're going to get very clear on this. The opposite image of the falling of Adam and the child of Adam, who was Cain, actually named for the jealousy which he later becomes the embodiment of, the jealousy towards Havel, to Abel. The opposite of that is Aaron. You see, the rabbis tell us that when Moshe was at the burning bush, he was afraid to take on the leadership because he thought Aaron would be jealous of him. After all, Moshe is the little brother, so those things can happen. And instead, what God tells him is when Aaron comes out, he's going to be overjoyed in his heart to see your ascension to a higher life. And I mean, that's actually quite astounding. Now, Aaron, in Jewish teaching, is the epitome of loving other human beings. Aaron is ohevet habriot. He's always with a stance and an attitude of love. You can see how the dividing line for Aaron is between love or jealousy, right? And the root for Aaron's ability to not be jealous is his love. How does that work? So before I explain how it works, I want to point something else about Aaron out. And that is, as the Kohen, as the priest, one of his main tasks, and it's actually the only remaining task for Kohanim, for the descendants of Aaron in these times, now that there is not a temple to be bringing sacrifices, is for him to go and bless people. He is the one who stands and raises his hands and blesses people, that they should be blessed and protected, that God's light should shine down on them, and that they should forever live with shalom, with peace. And what is that? What is that connected to here? Well, obviously, it's connected to this attitude, which is that I am loving the other, and in loving the other, I desire their full realization and manifestation, and have no jealousy of them. I'll make one more point, and then we'll get really much closer to the way for us to do this avoda. this kind of practice, which will enhance this. And that is that the Ramban, who I mentioned in the last class, who says that v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha is not to be understood as a commandment, an obligation to love the other as much as you love yourself. That would be too much for God to ask of us as an obligation. But it's not too much for God to ask of us that we not be jealous of others. That when we see another that we hope and that we yearn for and that we're even ready to bless them with the full realization of the most that they can become. And he describes in his commentary on Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, on loving your fellow as yourself, that the thing which is the most antithetical to love is when we turn to another and bless them that they should have wealth just a little bit less than ourselves, or have wisdom just a little bit less than ourselves. And he says that is jealousy, which is interesting because jealousy doesn't necessarily mean I want to have the possession of what the other has. It more profoundly means I really, in a sense, want to have the possession that is the greatest, the most powerful, the most wise, the most wealthy of all. And if I spot in anyone something which seems to overtake me, then that puts at risk my sense of possessing the world by being the one who's on top. There are few people who fool themselves into thinking they can take possession of it all in the full sense, but they can be on the top of everything. And being on the top of everything means in some sense that you're the epitome. And if you're the epitome, then in some sense you do sort of possess it all, meaning that everything is underneath you, right? So if there's someone who challenges who's on top of the hill, so then you're in trouble with that. That has profound existential implications, because as long as I'm on top, so somehow I'm participating in, by being possessive of all, the all. And therefore, on some visceral level, I can sort of create for myself a sense of my infinity, my immortality, my being endless, my being without challenge. Well, okay, good luck with that. But in the meantime, that is something which drives many of us in our jealousies. It's not just about wanting what the other person has. It's a more primal thing, and that is that we deny the possibility for another having anything at all. It just comes to a head when we see them as having more than us. But really, what we want to be is the possessors of everything, the great kinyan. And this kin'ah, this jealousy, comes together with kinyan, which is taking possession. We are always needing to make the choice between, what do I see when I see another human being succeed? Do I see life coming to the fullness of expression, and my life is devoted to life coming to its fullest expression, and I am in love with that person and therefore desiring that they should become the very most they are, and I am enabled to love that because what I seek is life's fullest realization, and also recognize through the powers of individuation that my particular contribution to life's manifestation is so different than what theirs is, that the whole thought of being jealous or being afraid that they should have something, or as it comes into its extreme, that they should have more than me. So then, or it becomes extreme in our psychology, because that's where we see, oh, they have more than me, therefore they are a danger to me. But really, it's them having something at all, which is a danger to me. So when we don't have that orientation as a danger, but rather we look forward to their full flowering, like we look forward to the full flowering of a flower, which doesn't risk anything for us or threaten us. So then we're able to be fully with love towards them, like Aaron was fully with love towards his brother. But when our orientation is the orientation of Kayin, which is of Kin'ah, which is of taking possession, that's the meaning of the word, being the one who is the maker of the world and defining the way everything will be, and therefore needing to be the one on top to define not only their own way of seeing it, but everyone's way of seeing it. And well, it doesn't take too much to unfortunately to bring up images of people who are like that, probably in our own lives and certainly on the political landscape. So then what you end up with is a world which is unable to offer people love because they're just in an ongoing struggle for their not just piece of existence, but for existence itself. How do we battle that? How do we do away with that? So one path we explored last time, which is experiencing the fullness of life. Hey, like it is so real, so palpable, so pleasurable, so alive, what is present within me, that obviously, I want that for you too. It's not in any way a risk to me that you should have that. But here's another level now. That was the most generic of contacts with the worth and value of being, of that which is God's expression, which we are able to touch through de'ah, through that kind of expansive consciousness. But can it also be in da'at? Can we also love not just in de'ah, but also in da'at? Can we also love not just in the expansive consciousness of oneness, but also in the clarity of delineation and individuation, which separates us and gives each of us their own path to expression, their own individuated way of seeing life, their own separate and different interiority? And the answer is yes. And the path to that is first contacting that de'ah, and secondly, learning to not only appreciate, being modeh, appreciate and be grateful for the unique path that I have, which is another lesson of its own, but to see creation as a multicolored, multifaceted, incredibly diverse expression of that single divine life force. And my devotion being that divine life force should fully manifest through all of these different modalities of expression. The highest modality of expression being not that this tree is different than that tree or this flower is different than that grass blade, which is also true and also gloriously beautiful. Right behind the camera I'm looking at is a fantastic view of all of that. But even more profoundly, the difference between one human being's interiority and another's. When that person is alive and full and real in their unique flourishing, and when I sense that as being a precious value, so that I'm able to bless them and desire their fullness. And that's where we come back to the Ramban, to Nachmanides. And that's where we come back to the issue of jealousy and can actually make for ourselves both a test of our jealousy or non-jealousy and also a practice which can help us break through it by actually challenging us. And here's how it works. When you find yourself really able to bless a beloved for their full expression and realization, even if it's going to go beyond yours as you see it, say in the same realm, I'm a teacher. You should also be a great teacher. Even if you're a greater teacher than me, obviously these comparisons are part of the falsehood, but nevertheless, that's where also we live. You should become the very most. I know it might mean that you'll have, more students or more understanding students or more moved students. I don't know, whatever it is. It's perhaps a little bit too vague in the world of teaching, but you should have lots of money. And even though my life might be devoted to accumulating wealth, you should have lots of money, even if it's more money than me. That's not the point. The point is you should come to the very fullest of what you can be. And I bless you in that. I bless all of you in that. I bless the world with that. And I think if you put yourself to the test, focusing on a particular person to give them that blessing. So then you're able to see in your heart, is there love there? So we have now gone another step forward in understanding this blockage to love, which is kin'ah. And we're going to now do a practice which will enhance your ability to, well, in a sense, put to the test your love. And really, my prayer for you is to see how easy it is to overcome that which stands in the way of love, to overcome the jealousy, and really turn with a heart of blessing, a heart of love towards a particular person, which in the meditative practice we're now going to do, I'm going to invite you to bless fully and completely. So please join me in that meditation as we continue on our journey into the inner life of love and relationships. In this meditation, we'll be awakening love for someone in our lives and blessing them as part of the practice of augmenting that love which is already there. Let's take a few moments to allow ourselves to be in this place, makom. Allow yourself to settle into the chair which is holding you, to sense it supporting you. Feel the ground under your feet as a friendly help for your becoming real here and now. Take a nice deep breath. Let your entire inner cavity expand. Feel how your stomach spreads. And now slowly release as the top part of your body relaxes with that release. Take a nice, another deep breath, letting the entire bottom part of your body feel expansive as the air comes in. And now as you release, let that bottom part of your body fully relax. Take a few moments to signal your shoulders to relax. Invite your back to calm. Allow your waist to rest. Allow your thighs and calves to unwind. Invite your feet to feel at home just where they are. Deepen the relaxation, bringing up that at-homeness into your calves and thighs, moving up to relaxing your stomach as it moves in and out with your breathing, and you follow that breath. Now move up to your chest, following your breath in and out, and noticing the subtle changes there as you breathe in and out. Allow your arms to experience the relaxation that is now spreading throughout. Now move up to your jaw, unwinding the muscles around your eyes, calming, and a serenity and peacefulness in your mind. Feel the space between your eyes begin to expand as your forehead relaxes and seems to open. Imagine a beautiful corridor of light flowing down from above, coming down towards your forehead, enlightening your entire mind with a light of love, compassion, and chen, an attractive vitality of connection. Let that light spread downwards through your face as your face glows with this light of love and compassion, rachamim. Let that now come down through your throat, into your chest and arms, all the way down through your stomach and legs. But especially, it's touching to your heart. Breathe in now, imagining the breath you breathe to be aimed towards your heart. Exhale now from your heart. Breathe in now, imagining the light to follow your breath towards your heart. And breathe out now from your heart, creating a beautiful space to receive more of this light of love. Imagine it flowing from above through the space in your forehead and your mind, down into your heart, warming your heart with love and compassion and chen. And now I invite you to bring up in your inner eye someone who you care for, someone who you feel love towards. Imagine them wherever they may be, or standing or sitting right before you. They are ready now to receive love and blessing from you. Send out a beam of love towards this person. A beam that you can feel coming out of your heart. being transmitted towards them. Sense how that can be intensified with even deeper love. Experience that love fully. Sense how they light up with it. And now, allow a blessing to come up in your heart. Something you desire for this person, that they grow even more into becoming, that they have more, that they feel more, that they are more. And let those words become blessings that you now speak and send through this channel of love that's open. You might raise your palms now towards that person as if you're sending that blessing together with the light of your heart, the light of your hands. And just send the blessing. Say the words again, or new words, or no words. Just the light of love, success, wealth, satisfaction, joy, and peace, and whatever specifically comes up for you. Now sense how this person has received this love and blessing, and invite them with a nod to say Amen. Feel how the flow intensifies, how the love deepens. Feel your heart alive with it. And now begin to draw this beam of light back in towards you, feeling how beloved you are, how much light of love shines in you. Appreciate this. Feel thanks. Let it all be as it is, with love and divine light. And to all your blessings, I too say, Amen. When you feel ready, move your body a bit. Wiggle your toes and fingers. Then open your eyes with eyes of love to the world around you.